Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first workshop of the summer term. I'm really excited for you to join our art and design workshop, which will be led by our head of faculty, Miss Prescott. And I'll just introduce myself now. So I'm Mr. Chowdhury, assistant principal, and I oversee the transition process. And part of my role is to ensure that the transition process for you, our Year 6 students who will be joining us in September, is as seamless and smooth as possible. So we've organised for the summer term for a number of face-to-face clubs, which will be running from sport club to DT club to coding club to science clubs, where you'll be completing practical experiments. And it's really an opportunity for you to meet other Year 6 students that will be joining in September, as well as meet staff across the academy, so that when you start in September, you're already feeling really confident about starting, you're feeling really happy, and those anxieties that you would normally feel when joining a secondary school, those anxieties soon and really quickly disappear. So part of the transition events that we will have in store for you will really help you settle into life at Bexley Heath Academy. And we want to make this session as interactive as possible today. So if you can please hover over the QR code that is displayed on the slide at the moment. So if you take your phone, and we'll give you a bit of time to do that, and you just hover over it, just like I'm doing. If you go onto your camera, and then what should come up is the Slido link. And what I would like you to do on that Slido link is put your name in and the primary school that you attend. Okay, so that's your first name and the primary school that you are currently attending. And again, we will give you a bit of time in order to get that done. Right, so as you do that, I'm going to pass over to Miss Prescott. Over to you, Miss.
Thank you. And yeah, welcome from me as well. It's fantastic to be with you this evening and to kind of go through just a few things about art and design, obviously something I'm extremely passionate about, and hopefully just give you a kind of quick snippet insight into what life is like in art and design at Bexley Heath Academy. So hopefully you've had enough time to join that Slido. If you haven't, I'm going to give you a couple more kind of seconds to just quickly get your phones out, get your camera on and get that Slido up, because obviously if there are any questions or anything you want to ask from me or the art and design team here at the Academy, or if you want to share any art and design work, that would be fantastic. You'll be able to do that as well. So I'm going to get started. So I want to quickly go through a couple of things first and kind of just give you that idea about kind of what life is like in the art department. So in the art department at Bexley Heath Academy, you will get to do a number of different things, and our kind of different years are kind of all designed to like feed into one another. So you'll pick up some key things in Year 7 that will be able to then transfer over to Year 8 and Year 9 to kind of get you the key skills and knowledge that you need ready for doing your GCSEs at Key Stage 4. We try to make sure that our artwork has a variety and is kind of as a big a variety as possible. I feel that quite often in Year 6 or possibly even in Year 5, Year 4, your artwork will not have been really as kind of experimental or as exciting as at secondary school, because at secondary school you get to kind of be in a specific art room that's dedicated space for your art and design work. You'll get an access to lots of different more materials and media that you may not have been able to get at primary school, and it just allows you a little bit more freedom and time to really dedicate to the subject. So we start off in Year 7 with the formal elements of art. So some of you might recognise some of the names that are on there already. Colour is a big one, and I'm sure that you've heard of the use of colour before, and maybe have even done a colour wheel like the one we've got in the picture. You'll then explore lots of different other elements like texture, pattern, shape, space, and we kind of go through each one in turn to just kind of build up key skills and designs, and basically help you come up with your kind of creative ideas by using these different formal elements of art. And they really are the key kind of essential building blocks for your kind of art education. Then what we do is we kind of use those and apply those in different projects. So, for example, this term in year 5, in term 5, I should say, sorry. In term 5, we've been looking at doing colour work and designs of chocolate bars in colour. And next term, we're going to be taking the tiger poem that you will do in English, and you'll be illustrating that poem in art. So there's kind of cross-curricular links as well, and things that you kind of pick up in other subjects you can get to use in your art and design work, which is a really, really nice element. Then when you go into year 8, you get to explore lots of different other media. So, for example, 3D art, we get some clay out for you, maybe some card, textile materials, and you get to take photographs. Photography is a big part of art and design. You get to do things like costumes and set designs, and most recently we've been doing a lot of digital based artwork, so artwork using computers and kind of drawing on computers and things like that. And then when you go into year 9 is actually a really interesting year, because it really allows you to kind of take art in the direction you want to take it in. We really kind of try and educate you into like different kind of careers and pathways that you can use with art and design, and kind of show you the link between art and design and the real world. And you can kind of pick key areas that you really enjoy, and then you basically can do projects in the areas that you enjoy the most. So we give you quite a lot of freedom in year 9 to be able to do things like that. So hopefully, you know, by the time you get to year 10, you've got a really clear understanding and all the skills that you need to kind of really succeed and excel. So that's the kind of key element of art and design. But now I'm going to take you through kind of the basics of a kind of simplified art and design lesson. On the board, I have put a slide, and this slide is a picture of an artist, because looking at artists and designers is another key element of art lessons. And basically, you need to be able to kind of demonstrate and think about how other artists do artwork, as well as kind of your own art and design. So I've got some key questions here on the right-hand side that I want you to have a look at and think about seeing if you've got any answers. Okay, so identify the things that you can see in this painting. Okay, the painting is there, and there's some key elements and key things I would like you to think about, and think about what there is. Is there anything there that you recognize? Are there anything that really stands out? Maybe there's something that you think that's really interesting in that picture that you really want to kind of mention and talk about. I also want you to have a think about the word identity. So identity is going to be the key theme of this afternoon or this evening. And I want you to kind of think about what that theme, that kind of meaning of the word identity is. What is the definition of identity? And then finally, I want you to decide, do you like this painting or do you dislike it? It's actually kind of a myth that you can't dislike something. You can dislike something, all right? But you just need to try and think about the reasons why. Is it too dark? Is it not using modern day things that you want to see maybe in a painting? Or do you love it? And is there really some kind of key cool things that you really enjoy in this painting? Have a think about those kind of key areas that you would be interested in, and try and evaluate this painting. Finally, for those of you who want to push yourself a little bit further, okay, think about your own painting and your own artwork. Maybe you've done drawings at home, or maybe you've done paintings at home. What are your favorite belongings? What are the things that belong to you that if you got to do the similar style picture that you would include? Okay, have a think about all of that information. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, all right, and then we're going to get into some other drawing elements. Okay, so hopefully you've had enough time there to kind of really look at those questions and think about that painting. If you haven't, please press pause, and or come and revisit it and give yourself a bit of extra time on it. And normally in a lesson, we would give you a bit of time to go through this and kind of discuss it in quite a lot of detail. So, please, if you want to kind of spend a bit more time on it, by all means do that. But I'm going to move on to kind of go into some other elements of art. So obviously, in answer to your questions, in this picture, hopefully some of you have identified that there are kind of old-fashioned toys. Okay, there's some old-fashioned toys in there. There's an Etch-a-Sketch. There's some marbles, yo-yos. There's like an old kind of comic book, like book, graphic novel type thing in there. There's some kind of old-fashioned stuff, but I think ultimately we can see that there are toys, and there's like things that maybe people like owned and belong to people. There's a Pepsi bottle in there as well. Things that people may have collected over the years, something that might have some kind of importance to them. In terms of the term identity, there's loads of different ways of defining the word identity. But in terms of kind of the way we're looking at it, identity is basically the essential qualities that define you as a person. So, for example, your favorite things or your favorite belongings, or maybe the clothes that you like to wear, the music you like to listen to, the films you like to watch. What makes you you? Is it to do with like maybe you love animals? Maybe you've got a favorite subject. All of these kind of elements come up and kind of make you kind of who you are. And we definitely can exploit this and look into this a lot in art and design. In terms of liking and disliking, that's going to be your choice to decide. For me, I do really like this painting. I like the use of the primary and secondary colours that I can see in that picture, the blues, the reds, the yellows. They're really strong and prominent. And I do really like this kind of nostalgic value, like the kind of old-fashioned style of the toys in the background. It feels like these toys have been loved and really looked after and really cared for, which I really enjoy about the painting. I also like that the whole picture fills the page, and there's no well, there is obviously a background, but there's like kind of not like huge amounts of space that aren't, in the that isn't in the picture. And in terms of pushing myself, my favorite belongings probably would be my cat, maybe. I love like lots of things at home, like, for example, different books and that I might have included in this painting myself. Okay. And that's kind of how I would be kind of including it in my own artwork. So a bit of a quick checkpoint for you. I've gone over the theme identity, and this is a similar type of checkpoint that you might see in an art and design lesson. And you are going to need to select which one do you think identity means. Okay, so you can decide which one do you think that the term identity means to you. Do you think it's number one, the different things that make you you, two, your likes and your dislikes, or three, your favorite things? Take some time out now just to have a think about which of those three elements it possibly is. They all sound quite similar. So is there one that's more specific than the others that you might think, yes, that definitely is a clearer version of the definition? And then decide which one it is. And maybe type that number in the Slido if you want to show Mr. Chowdhury that you know the answer. Or, have a think about that at home and just think which one is the key element that you think it could possibly be. Okay, you'll witness and take part in checkpoints like this in art and design a lot. Quite often we get you to write your answers on a mini whiteboard or possibly hold up your number of fingers to kind of make sure and just see what everyone kind of is thinking at a key moment in the lesson. Okay, so we're going to move into the main part of the lesson, okay? And I'm going to talk to you through a kind of drawing element that relates all to the theme of identity and kind of thinking about the toys in the picture that we've looked at earlier. We are going to be showing how we can show our own identity through our artwork, okay? All these things I've been trying to get you to think about: the theme of identity, what would you include in your own identity picture? How are you going to show yourself through your artwork? Now, artists do this in lots and lots and lots of different ways, and they really kind of explore this, whether they take pictures of themselves and draw them and show their face and what they look like, or maybe like the one we've seen, show their own belongings and their personal interests, maybe the colors that they choose, or they want to show the mood that they're feeling. Artists really can demonstrate this in a number of different ways, and it really is a key theme of art and design, and definitely kind of relates heavily to a lot of our kind of key areas at Bexley's Academy as well, and our kind of key characteristics. But what we're going to do today is a bit more specific, and I'm going to go through one method, one way that you might want to have a go at using to show identity through your own artwork. Okay, Jess, if you've got any questions or anything you want to add to and let Mr. Chowdhury know about art and design, maybe there's some key things that you want to kind of think about in relation to identity or art and design areas, or maybe you've got a comment that you'd like to make about kind of the theme of identity in art and design, please, please, please make a comment and let us know at Bexleaf Academy, because we really do love hearing your feedback. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to draw a picture of a Funko Pop. Now, I thought everyone knew what Funko Pops were until I spoke to my Year 12s today about what I was going to be doing. And I spoke to the 17-year-olds, 18-year-old students in my classroom, and they did not know what a Funko Pop was. And I was shocked. So for you guys, okay, if you're not quite sure, a Funko Pop is a like kind of a hard plastic toy of a figure, of a person. Quite often they're celebrities or like a famous person. You get Marvel ones, you get I don't know, Star Wars ones, you get lots of, you get comedy show ones, musical ones, Disney ones. There's loads of different Funko Pops, and you can find them in pretty much all the toy shops locally to you. But we're going to draw our own Funko Pop today, and we're going to design our own Funko Pop and make our Funko Pop of ourselves, okay? We're going to kind of look at different things that relate to us and what we want to include in our own Funko Pop picture. And we're going to create our own Funko Pop design. So this Funko Pop is not going to be a picture of a celebrity or a picture of a Marvel character, but it's actually going to be yourself and what you might want to include in your own kind of identity picture. Okay, in terms of our literacy, we would be using key terminology to describe our artwork. So later on, we might talk about our own artwork and talk about how we've used those formal elements and use kind of key language. And there's some key words on the slide as well for you to have a look at. So the word identity obviously is really key. But we're also going to be looking at our drawing skills today, patterns that we might create in the background, and the pictures we're going to use. If you need any additional support, I'm going to go through some step-by-steps as well to help you. And we have got a worksheet that we're going to be looking at as well. Okay. If you're going to want to stretch and push yourself, you might use another formal element like tone or shading, trying to create shadows in your artwork, trying to make your Funko Pop look 3D. The one on the screen is quite a flat Funko Pop. It's like painted like with flat color. You might decide that you're going to really try and make it look three-dimensional, like it's a real proper toy. And that might be a way of being able to push yourself in your artwork today. So the fun part, the drawing part, hopefully you know you're coming to an art workshop and you've got some paper and a pencil. Now, if you haven't, okay, don't panic. I'll give you a couple of minutes to go and get something. You need a pencil or a pen or whatever you've got that you can draw with, okay? So, for example, a highlighter, okay? Or, I don't know, I've got a weird silvery pen there, okay? You need something that you can draw with. I prefer to use a pencil, and if we were in school, we'd be using a pencil because obviously then you can rub out if you make mistakes, and it's quite nice and easy. You'll also need a bit of paper, okay? So I've got a sketchbook here. These are an art and design Bexleaf Academy sketchbook. You don't need this high quality paper. You could use some printer paper, or if you've got the back of an old letter, as long as your family know that you're using it, or an envelope, you could draw on the back of as well. So there really is kind of, it's not a limit to, you don't have to have high quality stuff to make artwork. Again, that's another kind of myth I'm going to bust today, that you don't need the high quality equipment to create artwork. It's about your own imagination, your own creativity that's going to allow you to create some interesting things. Okay. And we don't want to be limited to our kind of, our equipment. All right. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. Hopefully you're getting it while I'm talking as well. I say a couple of minutes, let's say 1 minute, to go and get some equipment, and then we're going to get started on doing a drawing together. Right, I'm going to get started. But again, please feel free, if I'm going too fast, make sure that you can pause this, you can rewind it, come back to it if you want to. And the screen that's on there is an example of a step-by-step guide as well. Okay, so now I have got my paper and I've got my pencil. Now I'm going to be drawing holding this up. So that's going to be a bit more of a challenge for me. Hopefully you guys are putting it on something nice and flat. Okay, if you have got a pencil, I really recommend holding it in the middle, not at the tip. Okay, if you hold it at the tip, it really you kind of press really, really hard and you get those dark lines. And some of you guys might have already experienced this. If you really struggle with like rubbing things out because you pressed really hard with your pencil, hold your pen. The further down the end you hold your pencil, the lighter your pencil marks are. Okay, I don't recommend the very end because it's very hard to control a pencil. But if it's in the middle, it's kind of like the best kind of like happy medium. Okay, so we're going to start off by drawing the head. Now you can decide at this point, do you want to draw one big massive head, okay, a Funko Pop head, or do you want to draw the body as well? Okay, the body is slightly more difficult. Okay, so if you're thinking I'm going to just have a go at doing the head today, turn your paper what we call landscape, or you might have heard of it as known as horizontal, because that will be a better fit for a large head that fills the space. Just like our artist that I showed you a bit earlier, I want you to try and fill as much of the space as you can, all right? But I'm going to go for the full deal. So I'm going to go portrait or vertical. So I'm going to position my top of my head near the top of the page, and I'm going to try and, like I said, fill the page as much as possible. And I'm going to start off by drawing a rectangle, okay? So the rectangle, you might want to use a ruler for this, okay? Or you can use just kind of without a ruler and just do this freestyle, okay? The reason I'm saying you don't need a ruler is because with a Funko Pop head, it's not like a complete straight edge. So with a ruler, it kind of will help us with a guide, but it won't necessarily get the kind of right shape that we want. Okay, now you can barely see that, and that is because I've pressed very, very lightly in case I made a mistake. All right, once you're happy with it, what we're going to do is we'll start pressing more firmly over the top. Okay, so once we've got our rectangle, and at this point the rectangle has got fairly straight edges. If you look at picture number 2, the corners of your rectangle are still there. Okay, it's not the round Funko Pop that we are used to. Okay, it is more of a rectangle shape to start off with. We're going to draw a cross in the middle of your rectangle. Okay, so you're going to draw a cross in the middle of your rectangle like that. Okay, again, mine is quite wonky. I can see that on the screen there. All right, so you might want to use a ruler and just measure it out so it's a little bit more accurate. Okay, luckily I have got a rubber on hand, so I'm going to just make it a little bit more accurate for me as well. Okay, so mine's more in the middle now. Okay, now this is extremely important because when you're drawing your Funko Pop, you want the eyes, the nose, and the eyebrows to be in the right place. Okay, and it also helps with the ears and actually the body as well. So we want that kind of rectangle and that cross to be correct. All right, so spend a little bit of time just making sure that you sketch that out lightly. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have actually got more than one line on my rectangle. That's because I've sketched it. Okay, that means I'm not drawing straight lines, firm lines. I'm doing lots of light marks, okay? And that is just to help me make it a bit more accurate and gauge it. I will be able to rub those marks out later when I go over it darker, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a go at drawing the eyes, okay? And the eyes go kind of in the middle of each box on the bottom box, all right? So on the left and the right in the bottom boxes, but in the middle of each box, okay? And you gauge this distance with that cross, okay? So you have your eyes roughly in the middle, okay? Again, I think I can see it is a lot harder, by the way, holding it, doing it upright, okay? That's my disclaimer. So that one there is slightly kind of off center, so I'm going to rub that one out and get that more in the middle. And because I've pressed lightly, it's going to not matter, and you're not going to be able to see too much the marks I've made. Okay, so there's my eyes in the right place. Okay, Once I've done that, I'm now going to add more details. So I'm going to add the nose. Now you can see the nose, and Funko Pop noses are very strange, okay? They're not real nose shapes, but the nose is kind of almost basically in between the eyes. And it starts off with one line going down using that cross. And then you're going to draw a triangle. It's a bit like a coat hanger, okay, without the top on it. Okay, so I'm going to press mine slightly harder so you can see, okay, but it looks a little bit like that. Okay, so a line going down and then a triangle, very, very small. I'm then going to draw in my eyebrows, which goes slightly above that line on the top part of the box. I'm going to now turn that rectangle more round at the top, okay, and you might see in the picture on the screen, okay, that this is where you start edging that kind of rectangle to make it more of a rounded shape. So I'm going to get rid of those corners to make my Funko Pop more of a Funko Pop shape. Okay, so as you can see, I've pressed slightly more firmly now, so you can kind of see where I'm kind of turning that shape more into a more accurate shape. I'm going to add my ears in. Now the ears basically are going to be going from the top of your cross line there, okay, and it also is going to hit your eye there. So you might want to draw a little line like I've just done to kind of guide that. You don't have to, all right, but if you need a bit of extra help with how to get those ears in, you can draw a little guideline very faintly because we need to rub it out to get those ears in the right place, okay. Now we've got the basic shape for our face, okay, and we're going to move on to the body. So the body, okay, and I said this is optional, okay, is going to be directly underneath, and you can see from the final picture that it has sections, okay. So you're going to have one section for the first top half of the body, then a slightly smaller kind of rounded part, and then you add the legs coming down from that first round, and you add the arms coming from the second one. Now your Funko Pops tend to look like they haven't got a neck, which is very strange, but the arms are going to come right from the top there. And remember, you don't have to draw the arms and the legs in, okay? It's only if you choose to do so. So I've just put my paper down just to give me a bit of extra help to get those legs in the right place. Now these legs here that you can see on the picture are bendy legs. You don't need to have them bendy. This is going to be a picture that eventually is going to represent you as a person. So you might not want bendy legs, okay? You might want straight legs. You might want your Funko Pop to be sitting down. And that'll be you to decide how you adapt these step-by-step guides, okay? Right. So now I've got the rough idea of what my Funko Pop is going to look like, and I've got a step-by-step guide. What I'm going to get you guys to do now, okay, is a little bit of pre-homework before you've even got to Bexley Academy, is you're going to turn this Funko Pop into you, okay? You are going to now take this away after the video, and you're going to add details. You're going to add hair. You're going to add colors. You're going to add patterns. You're going to add pictures, lots of different things. Anything that you think represents you is going to be in this picture, either in the background or as part of the face and the person on the Funko Pop. Maybe the clothes that it's wearing. Maybe you're going to have really cool trainers on it. Okay, maybe it's got a cap and a hat. Maybe you're always known for your kind of baseball cap and you wear a baseball cap. But you're going to turn this picture of this Funko Pop into yourself and your own identity. And then what I'd like you to do for me is I would like you to send them into Bexley Academy, and I'd like you to email us with pictures of them, and so we can have a look at them and see them, or possibly bring them in on some of the other days that you're going to be coming into the school, so we can have a kind of a whole range of different Funko Pops, which will be really fantastic to have as part of our displays at Bexley Academy. So that's the kind of end part of today's session. All right. I know it's gone really, really quickly. Well, it's felt quick for me. But that's kind of the end part. So again, if you've got any questions or any things that you want to bring up or talk about, please, feel free to add it on the Slido, or you'll be able to contact us at the Academy. And back to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Mrs. Prescott. Thank you so much for everybody at home who've joined in. I hope you've really enjoyed the session and you kind of spend that time where you're reflecting on your own identity, and we're really looking forward to you sending in those Funko Pops as well. So I'm really excited over the course of the next term where you'll be coming in for the 2 transition days. There will also be clubs that we will be running throughout the initial 4 weeks of next term before the transition days commence. And these clubs will happen at the academy. So again, it will be an opportunity for you to meet other Year 6 students, for you to really get a feel for the academy, and also to meet staff as well. Okay. And some of the students that we already have in Year 7. So you can talk through any of the questions that you have about starting at secondary school, particularly at Bexleyheath Academy. So until then, stay safe, take care, and we look forward to welcoming you to our next event. Take care now. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Bye.